I'm with it, 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 hey, hey, I'm with it, I'm with it, I'm with it, let's get it. You already know that I'm with it. We already know that she with it. You know that my squad, we gon' get it.
Yo, what's going on, and welcome to On With It Sports. I'm Jalen. Alongside me is Antonio, and today we have a special guest, Brandon. Jared will be joining us later on. If you guys remember him, he joined us for episode 5. But fellas, this is a special edition today because today is the day that Carson Wentz finally got traded from the Philadelphia Eagles. We wanted to do something special, and we wanted to have actually an open forum for just Eagle fans. So before I start, I just want the people to know Carson Wentz did get traded to the Indianapolis Colts for a third round pick and a conditional second round pick that could possibly be a first. So I'm going to go ahead. I don't know why Antonio's like that, but I'm going to start with you, Antonio. Let the people know how you feel. React.
Well, hello. First off, glad to be back. As you can tell, I'm clearly in mourning today. Because the franchise made what I think will go down as one of the biggest mistakes in the history of the franchise. And also, I'm a miss 11. You know what I'm saying? Carson gave me hope, helped lead us to that Super Bowl. And you know, the relationship has been bad for a while now, right? You know, it's been bad going on Twitter the past couple of weeks. Seeing rumors every day. It was toxic. It was kind of draining me, but at the same time, it's hard to let go. You know, so I had to come in today in mourning. That's why I was like that. I'm just glad Scoob's not on this episode and we're doing just strictly Eagles fans because I want to have an honest dialogue here. When I first saw the report from Schefter and it said a third round pick this year and a conditional second, I was just confused as to why they did it. You know, if that's all you can get, then maybe you should keep them. You know, because you're paying the largest dead salary cap hit in franchise in NFL history. Sorry, at $33.8 million. You already don't have money, and now you're paying even more money to not have him play quarterback for you. I'm, you know, as we dive into this episode, I'll give some more perspective, but my initial perspective is it's a bad move. It's a bad move.
I love how you're mourning, but you're wearing white today. You should have worn black.
It's snowing. You know, I wanted to match the snow. I didn't want anybody to find me out there, so I'm blending in.
All right, whatever. Brandon, how about you, man? How you feeling, man?
How am I feeling? Not great, Jay. Not great. So let me preface this by saying I never was a strong Wentz guy. I was never a strong Foles guy. I was never a strong Hurts guy. At the end of the day, my only concern is what is best for this franchise, what is best for this fan base, what is best for everyone. And what happened today, that is best for no one. So we look at this and we say, this past season was an absolute debacle. And it all starts at the top. It all starts with one man, Howie Roseman. Now, don't get me wrong. I'm extremely grateful to both Carson and Howie for bringing us that Super Bowl. But if you look outside of that, I have a couple qualms, including the fact that Howie has not drafted a Pro Bowler since Carson Wentz. We've had one Pro Bowler that Howie has drafted in the last 7 years. And it is the guy that we just traded today for 2 conditional picks, basically. There is no way that this is a lose for the Colts. It is a win-win situation for them. If Wentz is good, if Wentz is great, you just got your franchise quarterback for maybe 1 or 2 first-rounders. If they're bad, it is what it is. You just gave up a second and a third-round pick. For the Eagles, you just took, as Tone said, the largest NFL cap hit in history. So congratulations on setting an NFL record today. But ultimately, it starts at the top with leadership. And for a successful team, for a successful organization, you need communication. That is the number one thing you need. So again, this entire 3-4 months that we have dealt with this situation, Howie, Carson, Doug, all 3 deserve some level of blame. But again, we look at it and it starts at the top. And I can go and show you some examples from right across the street from Lincoln Financial Field. You look at the Phillies. After 2 okay seasons, they got rid of their manager. Was he really the issue? Probably not. Was he going to be a Hall of Fame manager? Who knows? But guess what? You go in, you put in Joe Girardi, an established winner, and you get the same result. You look at the person above him. They got rid of him, and we just had arguably a better offseason than we've had in the last 8 years with an established guy in Dombrowski. You look again across the street at leadership and how important it is with the Philadelphia 76ers. Daryl Morey came in and fixed probably the biggest laughing stock of the offseason in the Sixers for that disappointing first-round exit against the Celtics. And you put together arguably the number 1 team in the East and the league in 2 days. Starts with leadership. So am I happy that Carson's gone? No. Am I going to support him? Am I going to support Jalen? Absolutely. If Jalen Hurts is quarterback 1, which at this point you just gave up the person you committed 10 years to, the person who has been your only Pro Bowler in the last 7 years that you drafted, Jalen Hurts is QB1, end of discussion. But again, all about leadership.
Yeah. Jared, welcome, brother.
Appreciate it.
How you doing? So I'm just getting the fella's initial reaction of what happened today with the whole trade. How you feel about it, man?
It's something that we didn't want to come. We felt that it was going to come eventually. And at some points, maybe it wouldn't happen, but it did happen. And at first, I was upset. I see a third-round pick for a guy who we thought was going to be a franchise quarterback. We gave the money to him. He was supposed to lead us back to Super Bowls. It was supposed to be the new norm. Just to see a third-round pick at the time, it was upsetting. But I sat and I thought about it. Depending on the value that Wentz had, he was coming off his worst season as a pro. There were multiple reports coming out about his character and his coaching style. Does he listen to coaching? Does his teammates like him? So for Howie to intern, and I'll get back to Howie, he's not off the hook, but for Howie to muster up what will be, and it will be a first-round pick, although not this year, next year, I would say I don't hate the return at the moment. We go in, you get a first-round pick, you part ways with Carson Wentz. The writing was on the wall. Now your issue is you're stuck with a quarterback who is unproven. A lot of people didn't think he should be drafted when he was drafted. And right now he's your only option. They're rumored they're bringing in other competition. I don't know who that is. You don't really have much money to bring in anything much else. But it's kind of, where do we go from here? It's a time we can move on. We moved on from Doug. We moved on from Carson. So it's just a new time for the team, albeit we still have Howie Roseman at the top. So I'm not totally pissed off like I was when I first heard the news, but I'm interested in to see what will the next steps be and where we'll go after this.
Well, I think, Jalen and I were talking offline about this. Yes, they may turn into first rounders. That's great. But the number one problem is the person making those picks. If we have all these draft picks and they're not turning out to be at least serviceable NFL players, if not more, because at this point, call me crazy, I expect a GM to draft just a few Pro Bowlers every once in a while. Then what's the point of having these first? What's the point of having a second?
You just want to have backups. You just got to draft backups, right? I mean, that's all you need on the team. You don't need any star power. I mean, I think we're really getting away from the issue here, guys. So everybody knows Carson Wentz was the first Pro Bowler in the past 7 years, right? Still, after a horrendous season, and I'm a huge Wentz fan, and I say horrendous season, but he's still 7th all-time in NFL history in touchdown to interception ratio. He still set the single-season franchise record for passing touchdowns in 13 games in 2017, the single-season record for passing yards in a season. He was still the best franchise quarterback statistically we've ever had, right? Just from a statistical standpoint. And he's gone. He's gone. And not only that, let's look at what led up to this. Jared and I talked about this a little bit earlier offline. There's no situation in which this makes sense, right? You traded up You traded, what, 2 first-round picks to get Carson Wentz just to begin with. That's just your initial capital that you did, right? In 2016, he comes in, he sets the league on fire his first 4 games, has a solid all-around rookie year. 2017, we're talking about the MVP of the NFL before the ACL injury. We're number 1 in the NFC, dominating, right? We win a Super Bowl with his backup. Okay, miracle run. And I say miracle run because that same backup came back the next year, and struggled so badly we rushed Carson Wentz back to start before he was fully healthy because we were struggling offense. Nick Foles couldn't get in the regular season. Rushed Carson Wentz back. What's he do? Well, I don't know. With a fractured back for the majority of the time he played that year and still above knee, set a single season career high in completion percentage, still threw 20 touchdowns to 7 interceptions. Articles begin to leak. He's a bad guy in the locker room. The Nick Foles situation has really messed with him, blah, blah, blah. Cool. All bad things, right? What does the franchise decide to do? Give him $168 million. So you let it leak that he's a bad guy. And in turn, what are we going to do? We're going to get rid of Nick Foles. We're going to let him walk. We're going to give $168 million to this guy. So you're telling me that leaks already have started saying he's a bad character guy. He's a bad guy. You already know about this as a franchise. And you're like, cool. We're going to give him $168 million. What's he do after that? Leads your franchise to the playoffs, goes 27 touchdowns, 7 interceptions, 4,000 yards, wins the division with Deontay Burnett and Greg Ward as his top receivers on the outside. No receiver with 500 or more receiving yards. He still threw for 4,000 yards. Makes it to the playoffs, gets a cheap shot from Jadeveon Clowney. We lose in the playoffs. Everybody in the mainstream media, what are they saying? Carson Wentz has figured it out. He's become a better leader. This is now officially his franchise. So what do? You draft a quarterback in the 2nd round. What is the logic? I don't see in that timeline what led to this. Do you know what I'm saying? Because if you thought he was a bad guy, he had bad character, you didn't think he was the leader you needed him to be, why'd you give him $168 million? Because those leaks came out before you gave him the money. And you had 2 years of control left to make him prove it before you gave him the money. But they decided, no, he's good enough. He then upholds that he's good enough. And you say, no, we're going to draft Hurts. And compare him to Russell Wilson. He's not compared to Russell Wilson by Howie Roseman. What are we doing? As a franchise, what are we doing? I don't even believe Doug wanted Jalen Hurts. He compared him to Taysom Hill. You got your GM comparing him to Russell Wilson while your head coach is comparing him to Taysom Hill. What are we doing? There is no consistency in any move that's been made. Clearly, why did we fire Doug? People said we fired Doug to keep Carson. That Carson was only mad at Doug. Well, the minute Doug got fired, what were the leaks? Carson is mad at more than Doug. It wasn't a Doug issue. They didn't know that before they fired him? What is going on? Why is the one guy who everybody seems to have an issue with the guy who's still here? He didn't coach in the Super Bowl, did he? Oh, I thought that was Doug. He didn't throw all those touchdowns to get into MVP consideration. Oh, I thought that was Carson. But the guy who didn't support either one of them with, I don't know, talent on the field is the one who's still here. I'm genuinely confused.
But that was my question. That was going to be my follow-up question to y'all, because I think we all can agree. We know what the real issue is, and that's Howie. Like, that's regardless of what your opinions are on the past quarterbacks or whatever, at the end of the day, him as a GM, you have one job: draft the best talent you can and put the best players on the field. And he has yet to done that except for once. And again, he just lost that today. So my question is, we all can see this, but why can't anyone else like a Jeffrey Lurie see that? And that's
pictures. He's clearly got nudes of Jeffrey with some other woman. You know what I'm saying? I'm not saying this is fact, but it has to be fact.
Right.
Because there's no other reason you keep this guy around.
Right, because we can see it's like if you take out this win situation, we draft Jalen Reagor and we see Justin Jefferson take over the league.
When everybody in the NFL thought we were taking Justin Jefferson. Everybody thought we were taking him.
And then you draft J.J. Arcega-Whiteside the season before, you see DK Metcalf. I feel like those 2 picks are just gambles for termination. Before we get into this Wentz debacle, they're going crazy, and we're sitting here with J.J. Arcega-Whiteside who can't get on the field, and Reagor who hasn't panned out to, much at all so far. So I don't.
We would be lucky if Rager's best year was Justin Jefferson's rookie year. We'd be lucky.
Right.
If his best year of his career ends up being what Justin Jefferson just did.
It is just so upsetting to have to think about two great receiving classes back to back. And again, we end up with J.J. Arcega-Whiteside and Jalen Reagor. It is what it is.
Think about
the
great running back class when we ended up with Donnell Pumphrey instead of every other running back there. He's been great. Guess how many snaps Donnell Pumphrey took in the NFL? Zero.
Who said that, Joey? I'm pretty sure he went to go play for like the Arena Football League or something like that.
No, he was in the AFL, the American Football League that just ended, and the XFL, and he was a backup.
Bro,
I want to go back to talking about that relationship between Doug, between Howie, between Carson, because there was a video that circulated today that really interesting to me. So the video was Doug talking to John Lynch on the sideline, GM of the San Francisco 49ers. And you know what? They're like, hey, let's talk about Wentz because Lynch seems pretty impressed by him. Towards the end of that clip, he says, this kid is unbelievable. This is from Doug. This kid's unbelievable. It's been fun, quote, as long as we don't screw him up. Well,
that's gonna
congratulations.
Go up there with the QB Factory line. Those lines are neck and neck as some of the worst lines that have been said.
It's just like, it's that, the little meme that's like narrator, and they did mess him up. And it's just so infuriating because we've seen the talent. We had that MVP year. And yes, that injury to him at the end of that was terrible. That is a career-altering injury. But guess what? He came back, little bump in the road at first, but then he took arguably the worst group of receivers that this franchise has ever had into winning a division. And unfortunately, as you brought up, that Jadeveon play was really what set this entire past year into motion. That, in my opinion, is what led Howie to draft Jalen. And that's why we are exactly in the situation that we are in.
Now, do you think it was because he thought Wentz couldn't stay healthy? Do you think it was really because he thought and he saw that Wentz wasn't the guy? This is the part I can't figure out.
No, because my thing is, if you thought he wasn't going to be healthy, that's just more of, let me get a quarterback for insurance in the 5th to 6th round. That's something where you don't use the second, or you even get a free agent or something, but you don't use your second round pick unless you're saying this is going to be a future replacement for someone, which, like you said, don't make sense because you just paid this man less than a year before all that happened. Like, you even let this man
decision. Right. It wasn't a different GM. It was you. You drafted him. You gave him the money. Then you said he wasn't the guy. So isn't that a you problem? Let's say Howie's right. Let's say Carson really just is done. Like he no longer has it, which I don't believe, and I don't really think anybody believes. But let's say he is done. That means you grossly overestimated his abilities and gave him $168 million. You messed up either way.
Not only that, but even, let's just say you really thought he was done or whatever anyway. Why wouldn't you just hold on to him for one more year instead of taking his cap hit? Like, because here's my thing. Regardless of what's going on, it's already a train wreck. You already got through most of the season. You already went through it last season with most of this train wreck. But I don't think, going through one more season with him being, whether you have him on the bench or starting, was going to hurt you that much, where it's worth you getting hit with $33 million and still being in the same predicament.
To be fair. Go ahead.
I was going to say, that's what I would text Antonio back and forth about that all the time. A lot of times I would say, why are we trading Carson Wentz? We're losing 33 million. The value isn't there, which we all think we should get. Why are we trading him? And that's where it turns to me, there has to be some accountability on Carson Wentz. This has to be partially some of his doing. I know that you lose trust in an organization who brings in a second round pick and spends it on a quarterback when you still needed help in other positions. You needed help on the defense, you needed help on the O-line. But at some point, as a competitor, you see the person come in behind you. Why doesn't that push you to become better? Carson Wentz, all he has to do is not have his worst season and not play like the worst quarterback in the NFL and Jalen Hurts coming in is not an issue.
I disagree fully.
They waited till Carson Wentz literally hit rock bottom, and they gave him game after game to correct it. And then there's reports coming out of him calling out of plays just to spite Doug Peterson. I don't know how true it is. There's a whole bunch of different stories coming out at that point. But there's stories coming out like that, like he's not receptive to coaching. He's calling out of plays. Other things are going on where why didn't he look at that as a competitor and step up and take the job? Like how Aaron Rodgers did. The Packers, they draft Love in the first round. I understand Aaron Rodgers he has been in the league longer than
No. I'm ending it right there, Jared. Because you said it. You said the magic word, and you knew you was gonna get me. You knew you were gonna get me. No, I don't want to hear this bull. No. Because here's the difference. Here's the difference between the situations, Jared. Here's the difference. First off, let's all acknowledge the position of quarterback. All of them, every single starting quarterback in the NFL is a big baby. Tom Brady made Bill Belichick trade Jimmy G. Why? Because he didn't like that he was still back there. Aaron Rodgers came out this whole offseason, leading into the season, and complained and was upset and said, I don't know what my future holds, blah, 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 because they took Jordan Love. Ben Roethlisberger, when they drafted Mason Rudolph in the second round, even though Ben Roethlisberger was a 13-year vet with 2 Super Bowl rings, what'd he say? Oh, I'm not gonna mentor him. I'm not doing this. I'm not doing that. He was peeved off and refused to talk to Mason Rudolph after he got drafted.
Well, every quarterback you named, they went out and performed.
Hold on. Every one of the quarterbacks I just named, right, were all 10-plus year veterans. All of them, Super Bowl championship, Super Bowl champion, Super Bowl champion, MVP. Why? None of them did that when their franchise quarterback was in year 5. Going into year 5, Jared, this is a completely different situation. You don't do that when this quarterback already sees the ghost of Nick Foles behind him, has to walk in and see a statue of Nick Foles every day because Nick Foles, his backup, won the Super Bowl, right? You just got rid of him. He had 1 year where he was not worried about a backup. 1 year. And what did he do? 4,000 yards, 27 touchdowns, 7 interceptions, led us to the playoffs. And then you drafted another backup who, I'm telling you, the first game of the season, we were playing the football team, right? He throws 3 touchdowns, is looking absolutely dominant. He throws his first pick, right? Throws the first pick. I go on Twitter. I'm thinking, all right, everybody's going to be calm. Nope. What do I see? I see pictures of Jalen Hurts in a Kelly Green Eagles jersey saying it's his time. After 1 pick, we're in Philadelphia. You know Philadelphia loves a backup quarterback more than they love newborn babies, okay? It's impossible for you to draft a backup quarterback in the second round and expect that this fan base was going to just be like, oh, it's okay. You know, we don't really care about this guy, because this fan base would have been looking at him like, let's say Carson had a great season. Let's say Carson led us to the Super Bowl. Everyone would be like, well, why the heck did we draft Jalen Hurts in the second round? There was no winning in this situation.
Right, but like you said, this city, it loves a backup quarterback. Even when Wentz was struggling and against Atlanta and Josh McCown came in, we love Josh McCown. He wasn't a second round pick at that time. So at any point, if you bring in a backup quarterback, Carson cannot go run and hide and take his ball and say, I'm not playing. Like, you have to sometimes look at that competition. And Jalen Hurts coming out, Doug said that he was Taysom Hill. That's not like him.
But Howie said he was Russell Wilson. But the guy who drafted you second overall compared him to Russell Wilson.
Right, but
I think at the end of the day, we can all agree on one thing. From top to bottom, this was a complete organizational failure. You're both bringing up the leaks, the toxicity inside. And that's where this all stems from. So many leaks. It's so many. Like, I can't believe that every single person in that organization is so cutthroat to where they're just going to leak every single thing, whether it's a leak against Howie, whether it's a leak against Doug, whether it's a leak against Carson. It doesn't matter. Somebody in that organization, preferably the owner, needs to step up and say, look, we need to fix this. It's not just about on the field, because as I said at the beginning of the show, it's about leadership. It's about communication. If you do not have those 2 things, you are destined to fail.
And the worst part is the only person who can step up and make this change is the owner. He's the only one who has the power to get Howie out of there. And that was my whole problem with this. And like I said, the trade itself, regardless of what, again, like you guys said, I agree with everything everyone said on here pretty much. Regardless of any toxic, like anything coming from the quarterback or something, when I look at this trade and look at the deal, I hate it because I just know at the end of the day, this GM is going to get some picks that I am not confident he's going to make great picks anyway. So we're still losing. No matter what, we lost. We lost.
As I told Jared, that third round pick got Pac-12 slot corner written all over it.
Yep.
Okay. That dude's going to run a 4.53, be 5'9", and play exclusively in the slot. He's not going to be a difference maker.
Give me another Sidney Jones. Give me another Sidney Jones. Let's do it. Round 2.
They're not going to have no highlights of this man. They're going to be like, yeah.
We're all going to be sitting there watching like, who? They took
right.
from UCLA. What? Why are we drafting in the Pac-12 still? Now, I haven't
played this year?
I have a question because I know everybody's going to have a different answer here. With the 6th pick in the 2021 NFL draft, do the Philadelphia Eagles take a quarterback? And if you were the GM, first question is, do they? Do you think they do it? Second question, if you were the GM, are you doing it?
Do they do it? I honestly don't know. I truly don't. Do I think they should do it? Absolutely not. As we have said this entire show, the franchise quarterback that you put so much time, effort, and enthusiasm into, you just traded away to give your 2nd round pick the runway to be QB1. And you're going to tell us, well, why are we trading Wentz then? Why not wait this next year? Why not?
I don't know.
A lot of his other moves didn't make sense, though. I mean,
that's what I'm saying. You giving them a lot of
logic. I don't know if they'll do this or not. That's why I don't know if they will do this or not. Do I think they should? Absolutely not. Do I want Devontae Smith or Jamar Chase? Absolutely. See what you got. And guess what? If Hurts is not the guy, if you see that Hurts is not going to be that guy and has not shown any leadership skills or has not shown any improvement on the field, then yes, next year, think about a quarterback. Number one, I do want to say, I believe in Jalen Hurts. I think he can be a good quarterback. I'm not saying he's the next Russell Wilson. I'm also not saying he's the next Taysom Hill. But I'm also someone that always plays both sides, so I always come out on top. So at the end of the day, no, they should absolutely not take a quarterback. Do I think they will? As we have discussed, we have no idea what is going on with this organization. No clue.
Yeah, I agree there with Brandon. I whether they will or will not, I don't know how he can do anything he wants. It would be a mess for them to draft another quarterback, essentially because what you did last year, you drafted a 2nd round quarterback to drive out your franchise quarterback to then draft another quarterback. It just would look much worse, but I can't put anything past the Eagles. And Antonio, I don't know if you remember the stat. What was the stat about the 1st round quarterbacks drafted, I believe, in the last
since over 22. 0 of 22 first round quarterbacks drafted since 2016 or something like that. 2015, 2016 are with the team that drafted him over 22. I think it was 2014 on, actually.
Right. That's an amazing stat. So it kind of shows that you don't just draft the quarterback in the 1st round and then boom, it works out. I just think you should take the best player available at that point. And I think Jamar Chase or Devontae Smith, or if you want to go defense, go defense. But I just don't think it is as imperative to draft a quarterback. And especially maybe you probably are going to have to reach for one. And I definitely don't think we should do that. We're in that place as a team to do that.
So going solely off his patterns and how trash he's been making these draft picks, I know for a fact he's going to draft a quarterback, and there's going to be somebody we don't even like. It's not even going to be one of the top ones in the draft, even if somebody slip. It's probably going to be so. I would be utterly shocked. I would be shocked if he even drafted a freaking wide receiver at that spot. I would be shocked. I personally don't want to see us keep wasting capital on wide receivers, especially since he's shown that he can't pick the right one. But I felt like if it's going to be him, be prepared for it to be like, kind of like Tone said. You said 3rd round Pac-12 player. I see that being the 1st round. And it's going to be some random person that we don't know that's going to either be a quarterback or a wide receiver. I would personally like to see something on the defensive side. Me personally, if you could get somebody back there with Darius Slay so he's not running around the field killing himself all day, that would be great. because we're probably going to be relying on our defense very heavily the next couple of years because there's too many issues on the offensive end where I think one offensive player is going to make a big difference. Unless for some reason you tell me Trevor Lawrence is going to fall to the 6 spots out of nowhere because I don't know, they find some weird stuff on him for his doctor drop. Regardless of who the 6th pick is, I feel like he's going to mess this up. And it's just going to solidify everybody's point of he should not be here anymore.
And again, if Howie really has, other skill sets that Lurie sees in him, whether it's, signing free agents or getting a lot of undrafted guys onto this team that are producing, fine, that's great. But guess what? You need to have someone come in above Howie, a president of football operations, send Howie back down, let him do whatever he does best with the salary cap, with undrafted free agents, whatever. You get a guy that can make good draft decisions with a proven track record, and you implement him. You want to keep Howie, keep him to the side, fine. I don't care. If it means keeping his job, I'm sure he's a nice guy, fine. Right. But you bring in somebody else above him and get this done.
Right, because he's proven he can't. So far he's proven he can't do it. And unless he proves me wrong this year, and I'll be the first one to hop right back on here and tell him, hey, I was wrong. I don't see that happening right now, at least from the current moves he's been making. Go ahead, Thomas.
So, my position on this is very, very clear, right? So the most important position in sports is the quarterback position, period, point blank, end of story. Let's assume Carson Wentz was never traded, right? And he got back to the level of play that is expected of him. This team goes from a team that wins 4 games possibly to a team that's competing for a playoff spot, right? Just because that's how important and how big of a force multiplier a franchise quarterback is. You know what I'm saying? The math weighs out. Look at what Aaron Rodgers is doing with the receivers in Green Bay outside of Devontae Adams, right? Look at what Tom Brady did in New England for all of those years, where Cam Newton, who no longer really has it, struggled and couldn't get the ball downfield. We see what Tom Brady did in that offense. The position of quarterback is too important. So I personally do not believe that Jalen Hurts has franchise quarterback potential in him, period. If you look at his stats from this year, 52% completion percentage. He had a higher off-target pass rating than Carson Wentz, who just had the worst year of his career. He had a higher turnover percentage than Carson Wentz. He had a higher fumble percentage than Carson Wentz. All things we said Carson Wentz struggled with are things Jalen Hurts struggled with even more. Now, I know we can make the excuse it was only 4 games, but then I look at Carson Wentz's first 4 games in his NFL career, coming off of a broken ribs that Jalen and I saw in person when he broke, went from being the 3rd string quarterback on the depth chart to the opening day starter with very little training camp. He went in, started off his career 3-0, looked dominant, looked like a franchise guy. At no point during the Jalen Hurts experiment did I think he looked like the franchise guy. So I think it is the most important thing you can do for any organization is to get a franchise quarterback. So if you're telling me Howie believes Justin Fields is a franchise quarterback and he's available, you go get Justin Fields. And I don't want to hear the whole we already spent a 2nd round pick on Jalen Hurts the year before, because let me remind you of a guy by the name of Jimmy Clausen. Right? I've said this to Jared a couple times. Jimmy Clausen was a 2nd round pick out of Notre Dame, was considered the golden boy. Carolina sucked that year, got the number 1 overall pick. Who'd they draft? Cam Newton. We never saw from Jimmy Clausen again, right? If you believe the quarterback in the draft is better than the guy you have to take him. And to be honest with you, who's the quarterbacks coming out next year that give you hope that, okay, even if we suck this year, we can get the guy next year? It's not a strong quarterback class. And the worst case scenario is Jalen Hurts starts this year. You instantly realize he's not the guy, but he's just good enough to get you 6 to 7 wins, and you end up drafting 10th or 11th over and over again, and you never draft high enough again to get a franchise QB. That's the worst case scenario.
Well, then guess what? We do exactly what we did with Wentz. You trade up. You have those picks. You gather them all up for those years with Hurts as your starting quarterback. That's fine.
Only
but I will
problem.
say,
Only problem with that is since the Wentz trade originally, the original trade up, the amount of draft capital now you need to do to make that trade up has grown even more, right? Because that became the base of trading up. Now teams are giving up additional first just to go from third to second, like Chicago did with San Fran. You know what I'm saying? So the market value to get up is so much harder and so much more expensive than it was then. That's the only problem.
Absolutely. But at the end of the day, like, I don't believe in any of these quarterbacks this year. I don't see any of them worthy of trading up and giving up all this capital, all this draft assets, all these veteran or young players that we have to get Wilson or Fields. Like, that doesn't do it for me. The only way I would get a new quarterback for this team is if we go out and get Deshaun Watson, which I don't foresee happening. Would I love it? Absolutely. That is the only guy I would go out. That is the only guy I would go out and get, but that's not going to happen. And it's not because I believe that Hurts is the next great thing. It's because I don't think there's anyone out there other than Watson worth giving up all that for.
Now, Brandon, my question to you is, in my scenario, I don't have us trading up. I have us staying at 6. Now, if we're able to stay at 6, you're not trading up, you're not giving any other assets. I think that becomes a different narrative. Now, I have a question for you. Did you think the same thing about Justin Herbert last year? Because I know last year going into it, I was not a Justin Herbert believer, right? I thought, average. Didn't see it at Oregon, right? And then you see what he did in the NFL, and it's like, oh crap, right? It's like, okay, I was clearly wrong. So sometimes those guys' potential isn't always shown to be the best. Like I look at a guy like Justin Fields, and I see the numbers he's put up, and I see what he's done. And people keep saying, I don't know, like he has moments that make you go, Well, they said even worse about Justin Herbert last year, and he came in as a rookie and really changed that narrative. So that's my fear. So what was your thoughts on Justin Herbert?
But guess what? As you brought up, what was it? Like 2 of the last 22 first-round quarterbacks aren't even with their team anymore? What, you got Kyler Murray?
22 from 2014 through 2016.
Yeah.
Over 22.
It's a crapshoot. It really is. And do you believe in anyone outside of, again, Lawrence, Wilson, or Fields? Because if you say we're staying at 6, we're not trading up, those 3 are gone according to my mock drafts, according to everyone else's mock drafts. So who are we getting that you would truly believe in at 6?
I think there's a possibility you can get a Fields at 6 because depending on trades, everything's always contingent on trades.
Everything is, for sure.
Because you also got to assume the Bengals in the top 5, they're not going to get a quarterback because Joe Burrow actually looked great before he went down. They're probably going to get an offensive lineman. Miami, you're assuming they're still invested in Tua. He didn't have a bad year, so you assume that. So there's 2, unless barring someone trades up,
San Fran is sitting right outside the top 6. They might be interested in trading up to get a quarterback.
Same thing with Carolina,
yeah.
Exactly. That's 2 teams right there that could hop us.
Barring.
So that's why I don't even see us getting a quarterback in the top 3 of the top 3 quarterbacks.
Now, here's my thing. I'm not against drafting a quarterback there if someone like a Fields slides to us. But then my question to you, Antonio, is do you believe he actually takes him, though? That's the question. That's my problem. Like, we're all saying the right things. You should get this position based on this scenario. But the thing is, we're not the ones drafting because we wouldn't have been in this situation if we were in charge in the first place. So my question to you is, do you think he's going to take that if someone slides, like a Justin Fields slides to him at 6?
Honestly, I do. Because I don't at all believe they're taking a receiver in the top 6. We'd be the first team in a long time to draft a wide receiver in the first round in back-to-back years. I don't believe you can succeed with investing that much capital in the wide receiver position, like such high capital, right? So that would mean over the past 3 years, we drafted a receiver second, first. That's horrible. You can't succeed. You can't build a team that way. I think the only way out for him would be to draft a quarterback. I think if you draft a quarterback there, you say the problem wasn't the receivers. The problem was however the system was playing out, we weren't using the right positions, and that we didn't have a quarterback we felt could benefit our receiving core.
I think the other thing is, like, we could have had 2 insanely great receivers in DK Metcalf and Jefferson. But that's the thing. If we get Devonta Smith or Jamar Chase at 6. Like, we, as the people that want him, if we get him, we will be happy. Because those last 2 drafts, we could have gotten that.
But
we
look
knew,
at the math.
unfortunately, it got
The
screwed
math
up.
doesn't work out for it, though. The math says you cannot invest this much capital, this much premium capital in the wide receiver position.
All right, so what do we do with Jalen Hurts? That's another quarterback controversy on our hands right there. Are we trading him or are we keeping him on the bench?
See, but that's my point. Like, no matter I think this is the ultimate. It's the ultimate point of this podcast. No matter what you do, you're going to be stuck. That's why I'm saying you shouldn't have even traded the dude in the first place. Because regardless, you're going to be stuck. If you're going to be stuck, at least don't be in the franchise history book of having the most cap hit on your salary. You should just chill.
There's no win.
There's no win
here. I don't see the win.
There's no win. And I think we all can agree as Eagles fans, I think it's time for us to move on and get a new GM, to be honest. Like, I can't, like I said, I don't care if this man has the most perfect draft. Technically you can't, because you're gonna mess up this first round pick.
Now, Jay, I got one final question.
Mm-hmm.
To all three of you. Carson Wentz comes out this year and he throws 4,000 yards, 29 touchdowns, 8 interceptions, goes 11-5, makes the AFC Conference Championship game. How do you feel?
I'm saying let's go Jets, because I'm not an Eagles fan no more at that point. Like, what are you saying? No, I'm just kidding. No, I mean, again, the potential was always there. Yes, did I have my grievances against him? Do I think, mentally he was a little soft in certain places? Because as an athlete, I think you should be stronger. Obviously, there's only one Kobe Bryant, Michael Jordan, LeBron James in this world. Do I think we coddle him as a fan base a little bit throughout the years? Yes. But at the end of the day, I'm not going to sit here and act like we didn't see what he did in 2017. We always knew his ceiling. That's the reason why we always kept him around. That's the reason why people had hope in the town for him. We all knew what his ceiling could be. Now, sometimes it's just about the system and the coach that you have. Frank Wright might be that person to get him back to that ceiling. Would I be shocked? No. Would I be upset? No, because he did what he had to do when he was here. And at the end of the day, when he was healthy, he did try to show up to games. Did I appreciate how he played half the time? No. But at the same time, it is what it is. Like, I'm not going to sit here and be like, oh, if anything, it's just going to solidify my reasoning to get rid of Howie. And I would prefer that, because then now we know there is no excuse not to get this man out next year. That's my biggest thing. If it means him going to do that and win the Super Bowl with the Colts, shout out to them, shout out to the Colts, whatever. Get Howie out, though. I feel like at the end of the day, don't act like Peyton Manning wasn't your favorite player at one point. Don't do that. Definitely was rocking the Colts uniform. But at the end of the day, like, it is what it is. Like, I don't care now because he's not our player anymore. Like, and it's in a whole different, he's in the AFC now. Cool. What are we doing about this situation now and this dumpster fire of our franchise? That's what I'm worried about, because everybody watching football was very hard this year. It was very, very hard.
It'll be harder next year. We'll put that out there. So, Jared, how you feeling?
So, firstly, Antonio, I'm sorry. What you said will never, ever, ever happen. So, let me think.
I forgot. We got the biggest Nick Foles believer I've ever met on the show.
But like Jalen was saying, if it does, it does, and we gotta look at our team. We only can see our team and root for the Eagles. So what he does in Indianapolis, if he comes an MVP quarterback out of nowhere, which I don't think he will ever be again, then I'm not rooting for him because of the way that he left this franchise and how he conducted himself while he was here. But that is what it is. It doesn't affect the Eagles. I hope someday we get rid of how we fix that whole situation and just become a competitive team again one day and back to the playoffs, back to being functional and not this dysfunctional mess that we see. And hopefully games are enjoyable. They haven't been enjoyable for a couple of years. So that's all I can say.
Brandon, what you got? How you feeling? Carson Wentz just dominating the league again, but in blue.
I will feel okay. I will feel happy for him. As I said, I want nothing but the best for him. I want nothing but the best for Hurts. I want nothing but the best for the Eagles. And you know what? I don't know if any of you saw it today, but that young Eagles fan, Giovanni, huge Eagles fan, posted a very heartfelt, meaningful goodbye to Carson. That was his hero. And at the end of the day, like, if you as a player can have that level of impact on the youth and the kids of this community, thank you, Carson, for everything. I wish you the best. But again, as Jalen was saying, it's over. It has nothing to do with the Eagles anymore. We got to worry about ourselves. We do. So again, Carson, best of luck. It's Jalen Hurts time. He's QB1. Unless Howie has some sort of draft night surprise for us.
Right.
That. Let's ride it out. We'll come back a year from now and figure it out. And hopefully have an answer.
Yeah, let me just clear something real quick. I don't hate Carson Wentz as a person.
You kind of sounded like you did.
So, but Antonio brings out the worst in me. So
you guys sounded like you hated on Carson.
As a person,
y'all are all very mature adults, and I really appreciate that. That was very reasoned, rational, takes. But all of them are lies. Okay, nobody gets out of a relationship and wants to see their ex shining, winning, doing good. They dumped you, and now they making more money. They skin done cleared up. The credit done jumped 50 points. Nobody wants to see that. Okay, I don't want to see Carson Wentz succeed, not with my Eagles, because he should have been an Eagle for 10 to 15 years. And for him to then turn around and go to Indy and prove to everybody it wasn't him, it was us, that hurts. Y'all are looking at it very nice and rational. We can only worry about improving ourselves. Bull. This would prove definitively, oh man, we probably should have surrounded him with some talent. Oh man, maybe we should have, looked at the offense and changed some things up. Oh, how about we don't draft a quarterback in the second round when Jeremy Chin is still on the board? Maybe we should do things like get him out of the pocket, throwing on the run where he's best. Simple stuff like that. Not leak to the media he has bad practice habits. I will be peeved beyond belief if he goes on and becomes a quarterback I believe he can be. Because all it shows to me is we made one of the worst mistakes a franchise can make. Nobody talks about – everybody loves Phillip Rivers, right? But everybody also in the back of their mind thinks, man, he did not have good of a career as Drew Brees. Chargers gave up on him for that. Cool, for a guy who never won a comeback game, ever. Shout out to Keaton for thinking that he actually can play quarterback.
I know exactly what he's doing.
It's going to be bad. Jalen Hurts will be crucified here. And the city of Philadelphia will do that because we do it with Nelson Aguilar, okay, who we all agree needed to go somewhere else. For himself, for our sanity, Nelson Aguilar needed to go somewhere else. And the minute he started shining, what did we see all over Twitter? Oh, it's the Eagles' fault. Why are we getting it? Why didn't we get this version of Nelson? Blah, blah, blah. We're not going to take it well if he does well somewhere else.
Well, I don't disagree, but guess what? Like, we need to do some self-reflection at this point. Like, it's not that Carson broke up with us, as you said. We basically broke up with him, and we just sound like a jealous ex at this point. It doesn't matter. We were the ones that forced him out. When I say we, I mean the organization.
You literally just said early in the pod that we kept putting – well, I'm not even going to say we. Howie kept putting him in situations where he couldn't thrive as a player. That was just a response to him being in a bad situation. I'm not going to feel that way personally because I already know that we already made a terrible decision. We've been making terrible decisions since like 2013 when we still allowed this man to make draft picks. So my thing is more or less.
You know who's going to look real bad? Fans like Jared are going to look real bad. Fans like Jared. Yeah, I'm looking at you saying I bring out the worst in you. Jared out here he took the bait. Howie is a genius. He made everybody want to hate Carson. He used the media perfectly. Like Jared's out here texting me, you know what? He doesn't want to be here. Get rid of him. Blah, 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 blah. If he goes to Indy and looks good, Jared, fans such as yourself who joined the Let's Hate Carson Wentz bandwagon because Howie manipulated the media are going to be sick about it. That's all I'm going to say about it. That's all I got.
that may be. I just can't fathom a reality where that happens. I just don't think he's going to go to Indianapolis and be as successful as he once was. Or
hey, did you see the numbers Phillip Rivers just put up this year? Oh, okay. He threw for 4,000 yards. Had the least amount of turnovers he had in like 5 years. Least sacks he's had in like 5 years. Oh,
I just know this as an Eagles fan, and I feel like any Eagles fan, you have to appreciate what that man did. Because again, regardless of what anybody says, I don't care. Kind of like Brandon said, I don't care whose side you was on, whether you was a Nick Foles, Carson fan. The key to that whole thing is no matter what, you have to put their names together because one wouldn't have even had the opportunity to do it without the other being what they were. Without Carson's in the first half, we wouldn't have had the chance at the second half. And then without Nick at the second half doing what he did, we don't know if Carson would have finished out. But regardless of the fact, he played a part in getting you a chip. And as an Eagles fan, I appreciate it because I never thought I'd see the day that we would win the Super Bowl. And thank God I was so young when we won the Super Bowl because that was a great parade and great after party and everything. So all I can say is thank you, Carson, for what you did. Nothing but success. And I hope he becomes a player because I don't wish a player to be terrible, especially after they just came from us. Like same when Donovan left us. I didn't want him to be terrible, even though he couldn't see and he needed glasses. But he could not see anybody. I felt like he was throwing every ball into the ground when he was with the Vikings. I was like, bro.
giving over the Redskins where he was even worse.
Yeah, well, I wasn't trying to bring it out. It's trying to raise up our old quarterbacks, trying to raise them up. But yeah, man, listen, it is what it is. Carson, good luck out there. Fire Howie.
Fire Howie.
That's literally all I have. Fellas, thank you guys for joining us today. Everyone, all the fans, shout out to all the fans that posted all their gear online or on IG. We appreciate y'all. Please like and subscribe. And, Brandon, feel free to come back. Jared, you're always welcome. And we out. Peace.